Hey Frag fam, Corbin here again from Northwest Scent. Today I'm going to be talking to you about my 10 most complimented fragrances from my fiance. So it's a little bit of a twist on a complimented fragrances video. I don't really enjoy that topic too much, hence why you guys haven't seen me put one of those out yet, just because I don't really think unsolicited compliments happen that often, and I just don't think it's something that's necessarily worth mentioning because fragrance is situational and something can smell fantastic, but maybe you don't get compliments just because it's not being worn in the right situation. There's lots of different factors, environmental factors that can kind of affect that. So I won't do those too often, but this is the most complimented from my fiance again. So basically these are her favorite fragrances for me to wear. So if that sounds interesting to you guys, please stay tuned. But first, let's roll that intro. All right, welcome back. So before we get into the list of 10 fragrances, I do have a quick disclaimer. This is not a rank list of 10 to 1 or her least favorite to her favorite. She likes all of these equally, basically. They all smell amazing to her. So just know that before we get into the list. Additionally, there is an honorable mention because she had a really hard time eliminating one of them once she narrowed it down to 11. So we kept the 11th in as an honorable mention. And at the honorable mention spot, it is Tom Ford's Tobacco Oud Intense. So if you watched the video I did a couple of weeks ago, it was my fiance and then my mom reacting to 10 Tom Ford fragrances and just giving their opinions on it. They both put this at a 9.5 out of 10. They absolutely loved this fragrance. I'm right there with them. This is one of my favorite Tom Fords. So if you have smelled the original Tobacco Oud, this smells really similar to that one. It is honestly just a more intense version. This name is exactly fitting. This is the perfect name for it. It also has an added animalic note on top of the original DNA. So you get a little bit of like a dark kind of musky creaminess from it. Makes it just a little bit different, but you can still recognize the original DNA in here, absolutely. And additionally, like I said, this thing performs way better. It's beast mode. I get 10, 12 hours, maybe even more. So you definitely gotta control your sprays. And this is one that you have to wear situationally because it is very elegant and dressed up smelling. So again, at the honorable mention spot, that was Tom Ford's Tobacco Oud Intense. So next, the number 10 spot, it's a fragrance from Maison Francis Kurkdjian, and it is Amorous Homme. So I talked about this a few times on this channel. I believe this is a really interesting fragrance. It has a lot of fresh notes, kind of uplifting notes, but it has some dark and kind of creamy notes as well. So you get mandarin orange, amorous, iris, but then you also have chocolate, coffee, and even oud in this fragrance. So there's a lot of contrasting notes going on, which makes it really interesting smelling, but it honestly comes across a lot fresher than you would expect from that note breakdown, and it is very appealing. This smells like an extremely high quality designer, and that's not derogatory towards this fragrance, but just in terms of the mass appeal, this thing smells like it could be a designer fragrance, but again, it's much higher quality. It definitely fits the quality stamp from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. And as far as this fragrance goes for my fiance, I wore this last summer a few times when we went out and did stuff, and she absolutely loved this. She was asking me what it was every single time. She'll grab it and just smell the cap, you know, just get that aroma. So she really digs this stuff. This is a fantastic fragrance from the house. If you have not tried anything from this house yet, this is a great one I recommend to start with. I think this is just as good and honestly, in my opinion, better than Baccarat Rouge 540. That's just my personal preference, but again, this is a great place to start at this house. So again, at the number 10 spot, that was MFK's Amorous Homme. Moving along to the number 9 spot, this had to be in this video. It is Creed Aventus. So anybody that says that women do not like Creed Aventus is lying to you. I have met a ton of females that like this fragrance, in particular, obviously my fiance. This is one of her favorites. Every time I wear this, she knows what it is immediately and she loves it. This is another one of those fragrances where she'll just grab it and smell the cap, you know. I do the same thing. I love this stuff. This is arguably my favorite fragrance in my collection, and you guys know all about it. It's got pineapple, musk, bergamot, black currant, vanilla, rose. There's a lot going on here. It's a legendary DNA at this point. Everybody knows about it, so I don't need to say much more on this fragrance other than my fiance absolutely loves this juice. So again, at the number 9 spot, that was Creed Aventus. Next at the number 8 spot, this was actually really surprising for me on how much my fiance did enjoy this juice. I bought it purely for me because I really like this genre of fragrance, but she absolutely loves it. This is from Parfums de Marly, and it is Lipaison. So this is a Chypre. I absolutely love Chypres, barbershop fragrances, aromatic fougères, you know, that kind of stuff. Any of that kind of old school, gentlemanly, classy, sophisticated fragrances I really enjoy, and she loves this one as well. This has oak moss and woods in it, which is your classic Chypre DNA. This also has some citruses. There's some florals in here, like clary sage and rose, I believe. There's even some cardamom in here to add a nice little bit of sweetness and spiciness. Makes it maybe a little bit more seductive, but this juice is fantastic. This is a really under the radar Parfum de Marly, and I understand why not many people talk about it. This is a DNA that not many people enjoy nowadays just because it's considered old. I think this one here smells timeless though. It was created in 2009. And I definitely believe that. It doesn't smell like it came out in the 70s or 80s. It has that original DNA in it, but there's a ton more going on in this fragrance. It smells fantastic. So if you like a Chypre, this is one that you guys definitely need to check out. And again, this is one that my fiance absolutely enjoys. So again, at the number 8 spot, that was Parfums de Marly Lipaison. So at the number 7 spot, I have a fragrance from Kilian. Now, Kilian is a house that I haven't been really getting into until more recently. I only own 2 fragrances from them, although I have probably tried 5, maybe 6 at this point. Some of them are fantastic, and some others I have been underwhelmed by, but this is one that absolutely blew me away. This is absolutely my favorite that I've tried from the house, and it's my favorite that my fiance has tried as well. We actually sampled it together at Nordstrom, and then the same day I went out and bought it just because I got the green light from her. She absolutely loved this stuff. It is Intoxicated. So this is a nice gourmand, as many Kilian fragrances are. This one focuses around coffee. So you have nutmeg, coffee, and then cardamom, and then I believe there's another note that I can't recall, but it has a fairly simple note breakdown. But this thing smells way more complex than the note breakdown suggests. It basically smells like a Turkish coffee with spices and cream mixed in, and I believe that is how this fragrance was inspired. Kilian went to Turkey on a holiday or a vacation, and at the hotel he was staying at, the workers would bring coffee trays to the rooms in the morning, and then basically just kind of that experience, the aromas he got from that, that's kind of what inspired him to make this fragrance, and I can totally understand that and see that through this. This smells very exotic, elegant, and delicious. This is so edible smelling. I love this stuff. I'm not huge into gourmands, but this is one that I absolutely enjoy. So if you guys are looking for a nice coffee gourmand from Kilian, this is fantastic. And this is one that every time my fiance smells, she's just like head over heels for it. You know, she's just running up, she's smelling me, she's smelling the bottle, doing whatever. She loves this stuff. So at the 7th spot, again, that was Kilian Intoxicated. So moving right along to the number 6 spot, we do have a designer fragrance. This one is from Viktor and Rolf, and it is Spice Bomb Night Vision, the Eau de Parfum version. So this is a fragrance that I've only worn a couple of times, I want to say. I tried the original Eau de Toilette and I was somewhat underwhelmed by it. It definitely smelled nice, but it wasn't super unique. This is one that significantly stood out more to me, and same with my fiance. When I've worn this, she's been like, whoa, what are you wearing? That smells amazing. And I totally agree. This is definitely an improvement over the original Night Vision. So what they've done here is they basically darkened it up. They've added some fougere qualities to this because it has lavender in it, and I believe there might be some oak moss or some other herbaceous notes. They've also added some pistachio to it, so it comes across a little bit kind of creamy and nutty. There's so much going on with this fragrance. It's really hard to describe exactly how it smells. It does still kind of have that Invictus, slightly bubblegum vibe to it, and it does kind of have that Spice Bomb DNA deep down in there, but there's not one of those genres that really stands out. It's just kind of an amalgamation of all of that, but it works. It smells amazing, and she really loves this stuff. If I'm looking for something that's, I want to be like spicy but kind of seductive at the same time, so like a winter seductive scent, something different from like La Nuit de l'Homme though, for example. This is one that I'm definitely going to be reaching for more, and I've only had it for a month or two, I want to say, which is why I've only worn it a couple of times, but in that time, again, it's blowing my fiance away. She absolutely loves this stuff. So again, at the number 6 spot, that was Spice Bomb Night Vision Eau de Parfum. So next at the number 5 spot, we do have another designer fragrance, and this is definitely the most predictable fragrance to be on this type of list. This makes everybody's most complimented fragrances or best night out fragrances, clubbing fragrances, etc., etc. And this absolutely deserves to be in those types of videos, this type of video, because this is just that kind of DNA that just garners compliments. It is from Jean Paul Gaultier, and it is Ultra Male. So there's not much to say here just because everybody knows about this fragrance. It has lavender, pear, mint, cinnamon, and then vanilla, among a bunch of other fragrance notes. And this is just the clubbing king right here. This thing is so outgoing and extroverted, very sweet and bubblegummy, cotton candy smelling. Additionally, it has been either discontinued or the range of sales has been limited, similar to what happened with the Dior Homme line, how you can't get the Parfum or the Intense version in the US, at least currently. So this thing is getting harder to find. So if you've not tried it yet, but you're interested, it's definitely worth picking up now. And then I've worn this thing a bunch because this was one of the first fragrances I got when I started collecting. And every time I wear it, my fiance just says something about it, says it smells amazing. This is a great fragrance if you just want to smell great for the ladies. So again, at the number 5 spot, that was Jean Paul Gaultier Ultra Male. So moving right along to the number 4 spot, we're back to some niche fragrances. This one is from Parfums de Marly, and it is Hobdon. So personally, this is my favorite Parfums de Marly, so I'm so happy that my fiance picked this to be in this video because I think this thing is severely underrated. More people need to try this. The note breakdown on this is really interesting. It has that green apple that a lot of the Parfums de Marly fragrances has. This also has some gourmand notes to it, like caramel. There's also some florals like rose, and then you even get some woodiness. There's a little bit of saffron in here, which makes it just kind of a little bit Eastern smelling. And this thing smells to me like a caramel apple that you're just snacking on, and you're kind of walking through the woods with like, there's fresh cut pine trees around you with like the sap running down, so you're getting that kind of woody green aroma. It has a little bit of spiciness to it, and like I said, it's a little bit floral at the same time. So there's a lot going on with this fragrance, and it smells so good. My fiance loves this stuff. This is definitely, even as far as this list goes, I would say this is probably one that she comments on more often than not. Again, like I said, this is not ranked, but this is one that she never fails to mention when I'm wearing it. And this is just something that you guys need to try because I think you'll really enjoy it if you guys are even just able to try a sample. So again, at the number 4 spot, that was Parfums de Marly Hobdon. So next at the number 3 spot, we do have a fragrance from AMRA. Now, this is a house that you don't typically think of as being very mass appealing with their fragrances. A lot of them tend to be a little bit more daring, more out there. But this fragrance here is from the new Renaissance collection, which was basically AMRA kind of going in more of a Western direction, offering easier to wear fragrances. And this definitely fits that bill. This thing is super easy for me to wear, but it still has that uniqueness that AMRA tends to offer. And this is one that my fiance just loves, and that's why it's in this video. It is Enclave. So this is, I would say, maybe a little bit more daring than some other fragrances in this list, but it's certainly not unwearable or anything even close to that. This is one that when I first got it in, my fiance was really intrigued by it. She was like, wow, that is so unique. And she kind of tends to enjoy those fragrances that aren't completely disgusting and gross smelling, but they're not just basic run-of-the-mill fragrances. She kind of likes that different feel and just the uniqueness that you can get from these higher end fragrances. And this was one that definitely fit that for her. She thought it smelled really unique, but really appealing. This is classified as an Oriental Fougere, but it is lacking a lot of those traditional Fougere notes. Instead, this is dominated by some mint, and then there's a lot of spicy notes backing it up as well. So you get cardamom and cinnamon supporting that mint. There's some pink pepper in here offering a little bit of a fresh spiciness. So it's very fresh, spicy, minty from the top, but it also has a creaminess to it as well. There are some florals, and there's even leather in this fragrance in the base, so it does darken up a little bit as you've worn it and the day goes on. But this is just such a unique fragrance. This is one that I definitely recommend you guys need to try, and I would definitely recommend sampling because it is quite expensive, especially nowadays, since it did just come out a few months ago. You're not really gonna find it at discounters or anything like that yet, but this is one that every time I wear it, it's definitely easy to get noticed by my fiance because this thing is loud and it's unique. So a unique compliment getter, AMRA Enclave at the number 3 spot. Next, at the number 2 spot, we are back to a designer fragrance. I'm really glad she picked this one to be in this video because this is one of my favorite fragrances as well. This is in my top 10 designer fragrances for life. If I had to get rid of everything else and just keep 10 designers, this would probably honestly even make it into the top 5 of that list. It is Dior Homme Parfum. So this has made it into quite a few videos of mine, and I even said in my last video that I mentioned it in that I was done talking about it for a while at least. But this is my fiance's list, so it had to be in here. This takes that Dior Homme DNA that we all know and love with that kind of waxy iris note, and it amps it up. So this is actually the waxiest, most makeup-y smelling version of Dior Homme there is. Additionally, this has leather, rose, and then oud in it, so it's super dark, not pungent or skanky or anything like that, but it just comes across really dark and heavy smelling. And the oud here, just woody, it's not skanky or anything like that. Like I said, the leather here, it's not a dirty leather or off-putting. The rose here doesn't come across thick and jammy or feminine or anything. It adds just kind of a light powderiness to this fragrance, but this thing is so elegant. I have a backup bottle of this stuff because I never want to run out. And this is one that every time I do wear it, my fiance never fails to mention it. Day one since me owning this fragrance, she has loved it. So I kind of did expect it to make it into this video, but she secured it and I'm really glad she did. This is a great fragrance. You guys need to try it if you guys are able to. So again, at the number 2 spot, that was Dior Homme Parfum. And finally, at the number 1 spot, we have another Tom Ford fragrance. This is the one that tied Tobacco Oud Intense for first place in that reaction video I did with my fiance and then my mom when they reacted to Tom Ford fragrances. Now, they gave this one a 9.5 out of 10, so they really like this stuff a lot. It is Soleil Blanc. So if you just want a really general blanket statement on how this thing smells, it kind of comes across like suntan lotion. Now there's a lot more to it than that, but I think that just kind of is because of the dominant coconut note you get here, which is in a ton of suntan lotions. So there is more to it though. Like I said, you get some white florals in here like tuberose, there's some ylang ylang. This has a very kind of sweet creaminess to it, which I think comes from pistachio and then tonka bean, as well as some amber. There's also a little bit of bergamot in here, which just makes it a little bit citrusy, but not a ton. And this thing just has an amazing kind of vibrant, uplifting blend to it. And it just smells like a vacation in a bottle, frankly. My mom actually said this smells like Hawaii to her, and I definitely agree. This just smells like something you would wear going on a tropical vacation. I wore this a lot last summer when it was hot out, and my fiance did as well. So not only does she like me wearing it, but she likes to wear this herself. I think this is perfectly unisex, so anybody can rock it, and you will smell great when you are rocking it. Great, like I said, for the summer. Even if you just want something in the winter to kind of uplift you and put you in like a summery or like a vacation vibe, this is a great fragrance for that. And this is one that my fiance never fails to just absolutely love or compliment me on when I do wear it. So again, at the number 1 spot, that was Tom Ford's Soleil Blanc. Well, there you go. Those are my 10 or technically 11 most complimented fragrances from my fiance. If I'm trying to catch her attention with a fragrance, these are the ones I'm gonna reach for because she enjoys these the most. If you guys are looking for some unique compliment getters, definitely look into any of these and they should work for you guys really well. If you guys enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate dropping a like just to show your support, and then that way more people can see my videos across YouTube. Additionally, if you haven't already, if you wanna write a comment, or just let me know your thoughts as well as some new video ideas and topics, that would be great too. And since you're down there doing all that stuff, if you have not already, if you could subscribe and hit the bell notification, that would be great. That way you stay up to date on new videos whenever they get released going forward. But with all that out of the way, that's all I really have for you guys today. So I hope you have a good one. Stay healthy, stay wealthy, and smell great.